And so I grew up running around that campus and seeing all of the Black excellence in person. And so I truly, truly appreciate the power, the impact, and the influence that HBCUs have. And particularly at this time, it is important for us to raise up and offer as many opportunities to HBCUs as possible. So I am here from Brooklyn. Is anyone here? So I'd love to kick things off and talk a little bit about everyone's personal journeys here on the panel. Just so that y'all know, I'm going to try to moderate the conversation, if that's okay with y'all. Awesome. And really talk a little bit about, what does it mean to have Black excellence, right? We're here talking about entrepreneurship, we're talking about technology, we're talking about kind of how we're navigating technology with authenticity and impact. And so the first step is just to understand, kind of the personal ethos of each of us here on campus, so that we can understand what the authenticity means to everyone. And so if each person can start off by just talking about your journey in technology, and how your identity as a Black professional has kind of shaped that experience. Max, if you can start.
Sure. Well, thanks everyone for being here. First off, sorry for this little bit of feedback. Wow, what a question. I would say my first entry into technology really started when I was young. I was making beats on my computer. Some people that are music producers might know, like Cubase, and a couple of hands in the crowd. And I remember creating something around 60 beats, and then one day my computer crashed, and I did everything I could to try to figure out where my beats went. I don't know if anyone's had that type of experience before, but at a young age, that was a pretty harrowing experience. I didn't ever get the beats back, so that's kind of the sad part of the story. And I don't, make music today. But I actually took apart a computer, an old computer that my parents had, given to me, which I'm very fortunate to get access to that. Saw a lot of the circuitry, probably things that had nothing to do with me actually getting the beats back, but it really taught me that you break down a computer, and when you kind of fast forward years later, I still refer back to that moment because it was that interest in trying to find these beats that led me through this journey, into actually seeing the inner workings of a computer from a hardware layer to a software layer. We kind of fast forward post-college. I actually worked in finance. I know a number of people that I've met here today are interested in taking a finance track. I support doing that. It taught me a lot. Less about the technology side, but just giving me certain transferable skills in the business context. And then I took a role in business development at a small 90-person company called YGram. Came up with a business strategy, leveraging some of the ideas I had from finance and applying them to a new industry that we call ad tech, or advertising technology. It worked, and that strategy led that company to help 5x the number of partners that they had. One of the partners that they worked with was Google, and so Google reached out, given my work with them, and I've been there for 7 years. So it started a long time ago, but it all started with beats and ended up here.
Love that, thank you. Lauren, tell us a little bit about your journey. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Absolutely. Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Kelly. I also did not go to an HBCU, I went to the University of Miami, but I am from Atlanta. Both my parents were professionals, so I grew up surrounded by Black excellence. I've always seen from our family doctors to the person at the bank to attorneys. Everyone around me was Black, they looked like me. So as far as I was concerned, even if my classmates didn't always look like me, I could do whatever I wanted to do. There was no limit. I see it around me every day. So that really kind of set the foundation for who I was. After I graduated from college, I actually was working in the doctor's office. I was managing the front desk, and we switched to a new software. And so in doing so, there was a whole team of people that came in and they're listening to our day-to-day, what do you do, how do you how do you follow up with them? What does it look like when you're keeping records? All of that kind of stuff. And as we're going through this process and they're trying to figure out how they can take that information and build it into a software to make it more efficient, I'm thinking, I can do this, and I can do this better than y'all actually. You're not even asking my questions. You don't know what I'm really doing. Why are you asking me this but not this? So at that time, I gave myself 5 years, and I was like, in the next 5 years, I will have that job. Easy. So as I'm, in my spare time at this job, I'm in the back room interviewing, and I'm like, I just need to get my foot in the door. I've always been technologically inclined. At home, I was managing the family calendar. I was tracking my groceries, what we needed to buy over the next few weeks, what's being eaten, what's not. It was just kind of a thing. I always liked it. So when it came to, I guess the area of being able to use software to optimize day-to-day processes at work, easy. Also, very part of me, very innate. In doing so, I ended up being a role as a customer support advocate, kind of fancy word for support agent. And this is for a small tech startup in Atlanta, a SaaS program, software as a service. So I started there, and I showed how. Mind you, this was in Atlanta, so it was a pretty diverse group, but it was headquartered in LA. So the office itself, was pretty diverse, but the company was not. I was able to come in, do my big one, right? And I was able to get promoted 3 times in 4 years, to the point that I was automating every single position I was in, so they had no choice but to promote me. I'm walking to a open the door policy, and I'm creating presentations. Like, this is why we need this is why we need this position, and this is why I'm the best one to do it, and here's how I will deliver on it. And I went from there. I was able to pivot from that company to now being at Coursera. I've also tackled with TECHcellence, where we do a lot of building community and helping people who look like us, whatever that means to you, whether that's a different background or being a Black person, being a woman, being a mixture of all of those things. Whatever the case is, we build community and we help people be comfortable and continue on their journey successfully. So all in all, my experience as a Black woman has definitely built who I am today and allowed me to move forward in a way that I can inspire you all to as well.
Marquis, talk a little bit about maybe a specific moment in your career where you felt seen or validated as a Black professional in tech. That may or may not be a challenging question this very early time, but figure out for that in over here.
Yeah, well, welcome you guys. Marquis Thorpe. I attended HBCU. We went to Brooklyn University. Ooh, I mean, HBCU up there, geez. And now I'm at Amazon, but where I'm focusing, so currently I oversee our cybersecurity division within Amazon for the East Coast. So I'm responsible, cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is it's a big word. I'm on the physical side of cybersecurity. So I oversee all of our classified security spaces. So that's the integrity, that's the compliance, that's the accreditation of all of those spaces. That's from here, that's in Seattle, that's in Colorado, anywhere we have a classified space, that belongs to me. So I say all that to say, when I first started at Amazon, I didn't start in a position. I started as the chief of staff of national security. And I got a promotion within 18 months, which is unheard of at a tech company. But my boss said, literally, a person that was not like me was saying, what's next? Like, what are you doing? You can't continue, you can't be in this position. Do not get complacent. We need you in rooms where you're not typically seen. From that conversation, I played singing. I wasn't familiar with cybersecurity. I could barely spell cybersecurity. And so for you to encourage me and challenge me to put me in somewhere where I'm uncomfortable, that further lets me know that you want me to continue to grow, not only as an Amazonian, but as a Black man in the tech company.
I think that's a major key, because I think sometimes we want to be in spaces and we want to be affirmed all the time, right? We want to get all of, the beautiful experiences and post it on the gram, and, we want all of the boozy brunches on weekends and whatnot. Like, listen, folks, don't let us come up here and give you false hope. It is very hard, first of all.
Hard.
Like
18-hour days, hard.
Yeah, like,
No sleep, hard. I can go on.
No, please do. But I guess I just want to take a quick beat to say, we all look fancy fly. Like this weekend, I started off saying everyone looks good. Y'all don't look terrible. Like, it is extremely hard not only to get into a technical role, but to stay. So part of the conversation that we're having here is trying to understand what does it take to stay in technology. You've heard these stories. You're in tech for you've been in tech for 7 years, right? And these are executives that have been doing this for years. People can burn out relatively quickly in technology. So to be in business, and particularly this industry, for years at a time is a really big testament. Talk a little bit about, who you thought, I want to talk about mentorship and sponsorship. I think particularly for like entry stage, early, entrance into the industry, it's really important to understand how do you get that leg up? How do you get those folks that can advocate for you? And if you can share your personal experience or your perspective.
Great question. I'll talk to my personal experience, but hopefully it translates to other people. I think one of the most challenging parts in tech, if you're working on a non-technical role, is to understand the technology that you're meant to sell, right? Understanding what's underneath the hood. And I think there is kind of much like me trying to find my beats and somehow taking apart a computer physically probably doesn't make that much sense. It made sense when I was maybe 10, doesn't make sense now, given what I know. There's a certain level of granularity where it's maybe not useful to have, that knowledge, but I would say it's good to attempt to get in depth under the hood on what you're actually selling and what's actually going on in the technology. And so as it relates to mentorship, I think one breakthrough I had was when I said, all right, I'm in this business development role. They want me to do X, Y, and Z. After the 9 to 5 period is over, I know I want to spend some extra time learning. Who can I get that mentorship from? Who can I learn from? Who's here in the office after 5 p.m.? And it used to be folks that they would essentially call product managers, right? And they were working with engineers late night, and they were kind of a middle layer, if you will, between engineering, who were hands on the keyboard, and business development at this particular organization. And so what I did is I had drinks with the product managers, and I convinced them that, hey, if we get drinks, and it was worth it to be by them. If we get drinks, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to ask why, or how does it work this way and that way. And over time, with persistence, I'll probably break you down, and I think I'm decently smart enough that if you tell me something 10 times, I might get it on the 10th time. And I really think that gave me a leg up compared to some of my peers in business development. And I would just sit there also and read. There's usually like a knowledge base or some type of documentation that someone's written up for those engineers, for those product managers to understand. And I would just read them. And if I have to read it again, sometimes it's a 3-page document, but people just won't take the time to read them and look up what it's saying. And it can make a tremendous difference when you do that over time, again and again, because it's usually the case that these products and these technologies connect to one another and the concepts end up being the same. Is that helpful?
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds like you took an opportunity to learn from the folks that were managing the projects. And go to the source, right? It sounds like the key drop here is when you're trying to build your proficiency, when you're trying to learn something, go to the experts, go to the people who know this product backwards and forwards. And also, one thing I'm pulling out of this is you have to be good. Okay, like that's the baseline, that's the table stakes. Getting a mentor is going to, first of all, you have to be good enough for the mentor to want to spend the time. Okay, we all have probably been asked on this panel to be mentors of people. And in order for me to take on a mentor at this stage, they have to be phenomenal. Okay? And that's different than a sponsor who is advocating for you when you are not in the room. Okay? That sponsor sees you from afar and knows your work. That sponsor listens to the answers that you give in meetings and says, oh, this person might have something, and hasn't necessarily risen in the ranks yet, and I want to give him or her a chance. The mentor is the one that's going to work with you to get that chance. Okay? So Lauren, talk to me about, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Jump in.
I definitely want to jump in on this.
Oh, let's talk about it.
So I think one of the biggest things is having an end goal and working backwards from it. I mentioned that I started in support. And as mentioned, that made me an expert in our product. I went backwards and forward. I was a subject matter expert. And in doing so, I was able to kind of observe. I'm seeing where our customers are struggling, and I'm able to go to other departments, and I'm able to volunteer. Okay, product, we're having this issue, we're seeing this gap. Our customers have been going over this. They're keeping this support with this problem. We can eliminate how much time we're taking answering tickets if we were to do X, Y, Z. Putting myself in those positions, that's probably the launch pad that got me to where I am. If you ever watch Game of Thrones, you know they say chaos is a ladder. I will always advocate for startups because it was chaotic. There was a lot going on. The product was always evolving. But in positioning myself where I can add value to other people and make their lives easier, they saw me as a resource. They saw my value even before it was time for me to move forward. And so that's important, especially if you are looking for sponsorship or a mentor. How can you help them? If you see a gap, how can you fill it so they already know what you're capable of before it's time for you to move? They're saying your name is a room before you even know that room exists. That's what's important. And so in doing so, I was able to move into a position where now I'm a subject matter expert in support. I am also now leading 2 ERGs, Black Titans, which was our ERG for Black employees at Service Titan, and I'm also leading the Women's Charter at Service Titan as well. And that's getting me into spaces with our executives. So earlier when I mentioned that I was able to pitch myself to get positions, I already had a rapport with them because they knew who I was. And I was able to show them my value long before that opportunity presented itself. And so looking back, I do wish that I had more structured mentorship, but I am happy with the way that things worked out. And it wasn't always people who looked just like me, but people that you would
I was
expect.
going to say that. I was going to say that my sponsor and mentor look nothing like this. I don't want you guys to get in the habit of thinking that they have to be for us, that they have to be black. Like they don't. Like literally.
Purposely look for somebody.
They don't look like
Purposely look for somebody else.
Yeah.
I wanted those individuals, people who once you clown the laughter tag, they typically don't look more like us. So I want to see people, I want to play politics and get people advocating for me on my behalf who don't look like me, and the people making decisions are going to feel free to talk to those individuals. And so I want them to say the things they want to say. So they can come back to me and tell me, hey Marquis, in this meeting, they said you need to improve in X, Y, Z. Hey Marquis, you can do this better. Hey Marquis, you're kicking it out of the park. So don't think race or ethnicity is mandatory on how you look. Like, think outside the box. It can be unorthodox.
You know, just a couple of things I want to point out too is you pointed out the difference between sponsorship and mentorship, and that's something we talk about at our organization a lot. There really is a big difference, and you know, I don't know if you guys would define it in different terms, but I would just really, you know, put a pin in that. I think those should definitely be two different people at least. And actually, I think when I think of mentorship, what I was describing is not just the vertical mentorship, which we often think of, someone that's, you know, above us in a similar role and pulling us up. I'm also talking about mentorship across. Like, let me get the knowledge that a peer of mine has to give me another edge over folks that might be in my particular role.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's talk about advice you give your younger self. I know that, you know, we're talking about the mentorship sponsorship piece, but I can imagine there's other, you know, shoulda, coulda, wouldas that we all have.
Let me say,
Let it go. Go ahead.
walk in the room like you belong. Like we don't want to hear this. If I can tell myself this 20 years and told imposter syndrome, you don't belong, you're not qualified, you're not educated, you attended HBCU, they attended Yale. We work for the same company, we are in the same room. Actually, I'm making the decisions. Okay? So, this is probably listening. So I want want you like walk in there. You are there for a reason. Please don't get like I remember our former president said once he walked in these rooms, he started to notice that these people are no better than you. They really, really are. And I needed to tell myself that 20 years ago. Because I would probably be CEO of Amazon now if I would have known that.
So I have a
And I smile not because that's such a lofty idea. I was actually thinking like you be CEO of your next venture. How would
So that's actually where I was going. So like, my dad was an entrepreneur, and his dad was an entrepreneur. So I've grown up in a very entrepreneurial family, and I've been very, very blessed to see small business formation at a very early age. So I know what it feels like and understand the power and financial freedom that comes with owning your own business. And so the thing I wish I would have done was start a business earlier, to be very honest. I started my first tech startup after I had already finished college. So I would have started a business, at least get started in starting, right, in college. Doesn't mean it has to be spectacular. It's going to fail, most likely. The idea of being a serial entrepreneur, right? You hear people say, I'm a serial entrepreneur. What is a serial entrepreneur? Someone who's failed a lot. And they've gotten a ton of experience in building businesses. The idea of understanding business formation, what is an LLC versus a C Corp, what's an S Corp, what's the tax filing, what are tax implications? There are some amazing opportunities out here, folks, for small business owners, and we are not taking advantage of them in the ways that we could. And then we add on opportunities to build technology companies. We've heard Lauren talk about working for a tech startup, right? Tech startups allow you to make billion-dollar opportunities, okay? These are billion-dollar businesses, and clearly nothing wrong with your traditional lifestyle businesses, your dry cleaners and daycares and restaurants in the world, but we're here talking about technology. So when we think about technology businesses, the R&D, the development, the operations and the automation that's needed to build those types of businesses, there is a bit of a different roadmap that can be applied there. So if I could do anything differently, it would just be to start earlier. And the only other thing I would say is, I was never an engineer, did not have the engineer spirit upon me. Take a coding class, just one. You will find it beneficial to take just one coding class to understand how code works. It is a language, just like English, just like Spanish and French and all the other things. So just understanding how the code works will help you understand why you need different types of languages, i.e. different types of codes do different types of things that allow you different types of results on the front end of a website versus the back end of the website. What's the technical stack? Why are you stacking different languages, different products, different pieces of code together in order to deliver a particular experience? So these are things that even non-technical founders, non-technical entrepreneurs should still be aware of, and so that you also don't get taken when you work with a developer or a CTO and they say you need all these things and you really don't. So just some thoughts in terms of things you might want to consider and advice I would definitely give my younger entrepreneur self, having now worked with entrepreneurs and launched a few businesses.
Yeah, and coding and programming languages seem like huge terms, right? And there's a lot that someone can learn. But I like what Marquis was saying about imposter syndrome. It's something we talk about within the tech community quite a bit. And you'd really be surprised once you get, again, one layer of the new things. How many products are built off of, or a lot of the data is built, into a spreadsheet, right? That you guys have access to today, right? Like a lot of products that folks use may not be quite as sophisticated as people might think. Sometimes, particularly when you're starting another company. And so don't be intimidated by these terms and these programming languages. I would say even taking it a half step back, understanding how data moves or the processes at just a high level conceptually can help you build things like what they were talking about in today on AI agents, right? They basically talked about outlining a data process and having AI, take apart some of the complicated parts in each step. But they were talking about an outline, right? For folks that were there earlier. So just taking a half step back sometimes and just saying, what are we saying here? How's the data moving? If you're in cloud services, you might say, what do you guys say, ingress and egress all the time, right? A fancy word of talking about data in and out, right?
These are fancy words, like y'all, we're not saying anything that you already don't know, but you don't know that until you're in the room. Literally, just don't think that you can't do it. I thought the same thing. I'm like, y'all no smarter than me, right?
Is this on? I want to jump in too, especially for the ladies. Talking about imposter syndrome, I don't experience that. I don't have imposter syndrome. Because if there's one thing you can guarantee, you will not be in that room if you have not proven you can do it. If you can bet on one thing, they will not have you in there if you cannot do it. So it's time for you to also have that same confidence. With everything you say, anything, I trust and believe if you're in that room, you know what you're talking about, you've done your research. When you speak on things, speak with confidence. Do not let men, do not let the men speak over you. Do not make them push back on you if you feel like you don't know what you're talking about. Don't let anyone knock you off your feet. Sorry, don't do it. I want to be very clear on that, especially for the ladies in here. I also want to say, when it comes to being entrepreneurial, or just in general with your job, I mentioned working full-time, but then also being leader of 2 ERGs. That couldn't have been the case if I weren't as young and spry as I were. I was 20 at the time, 21, 22, so it's fun to stay at the office with my coworkers till 6, 7 o'clock and work on projects. We're having fun. Remember, this is also in Atlanta. We're freestyling on Fridays, but we're still working. We're getting things done. We're having fun. We're building those connections. And it's important to take advantage of the time you have now. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know what illnesses, how your life can change, what responsibilities may fall on you. If you want to start a business, if you want to do something, if you want to take on more, do it now. Do not wait. For me, if I want to get married one day and have children, my life and the free time that I have is going to drastically change in the future. Take advantage of what you have now. You will never be younger than you are in this very moment.
Yes, I have a 2-year-old, and I can personally attest that my going out days have definitely passed. At this very moment.
You got outside tomorrow?
I'm not as outside. However, I was really outside.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
I'm still outside.
I've literally been outside around the world, and I'm okay now. I'm so glad I actually.
You evolved.
Exactly.
That's all there is to
Thank you.
I haven't done it.
All my pictures are not on the social medias. I thank God my socials are not, my pictures are not on social. Okay, so folks, we're gonna have to wrap up. I think most of us will be available, to chat after this panel. I'd love for everyone just to go around again, just some final thoughts. If you have either a LinkedIn or a way for folks to keep in contact, please share that. But we're gonna do, like I said, just like a final round robin of anything that we want to talk about in terms of the programs or initiatives that y'all working on.
Yeah, just in terms of reaching out, if folks want to introduce themselves through LinkedIn, Max Aggrey, as Ian's pointed out there, feel free to reach out. Happy to engage folks. I'll pass on to my fellow panelists.
Hi. You can find me on LinkedIn as well under Lauren Kelly. You can also find me on TikTok or Instagram at its.low, Leaux. I'm probably more responsive on there if I name on LinkedIn. You can also feel free to follow TECHcellence. We are a nonprofit organization. And we hope to have people build a community and feel comfortable and feel around their career. Stay in a space where people look like them and they have similar backgrounds and experiences. I'm always happy to chat. It's easier in person. I can get a little overwhelmed when it comes to messaging and stuff. So if you see me around, feel free to speak. I'm very friendly. I love chatting with you all. And thank you for your time today.
Marquis Thorpe, don't do anything. I'm on the twice a year. Just find me on Instagram. I'm a lot more active on there. Also, come up and speak. If you'll take anything from this panel, network. You can be looking at the next Jack Bezos in here. Like, you just don't know who these individuals are 5 or 10 years. These are your peers, these are the individuals who you should be collaborating with anyway.
And volunteer.
Volunteer, community service, community engagement. Like, those things are going to get you in the spotlight and act with other individuals who you probably won't know. So make sure you continue to do that.
I'm Regina Gwynn, and I do check LinkedIn for the most part. So definitely please hit me up on LinkedIn. Also follow Black Women Talk Tech. I don't know if I introduced myself, but I'm the co-founder of Black Women Talk Tech, one of the largest resource platforms for Black women in technology from both an entrepreneur and a tech professional perspective. We host the Roadmap to Billions conference, one of the largest tech conferences in the country in New York City. It will be May 16th this year, so Friday, May 16th, 2005. We'll be hosting our 9th annual Roadmap to Billions. We'll be having our investor reception, pitch competition, tons of conversations that will focus specifically around building billion-dollar startups. We are not here to talk about millions. We are not here
What building would it be? That's what I'm saying.
startups. So yeah, hit me up, and I think that's it. Thank you, everyone.
All right, let's give it up one more time for our panelists. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your attention. All right, we got a quick break. In 15 minutes, our next panel